Good morning, everybody. As you can see, we're not in Goshen. We're in my office here in Northern Connecticut, and we're taping this because I don't think I could really get through my speech. This place, Goshen, is an amazing place, and I'd like to thank the people from the museum here, the benefactors of the racetrack. You know, the racetrack has been a special place to me. I remember seeing Brett Hanover here, I believe in, 1962 or 1963. You know, it's a very special place, and this honor means really a lot to me. I really want to thank the writers for giving it to me. You know, it's really not for me, it's really for the family. I'd like to thank the harness writers because without you, this award would not be here. You guys have done a tremendous job promoting this award, and I thank you for giving it to me. You know, I'd like to thank my wife, Becky, who really supported me through all this time. Many nights I wasn't home, I was at the races. I'd like to thank my boys, you know, who probably missed many soccer games and things like that. I'd like to thank my brother, my mother and dad, his family, because this is a family business and it's a family endeavor, and I believe that harness racing has made us all better, and we appreciate what harness racing has done for us. Many people have propelled me to this award during the way, and I would be remiss if I really didn't talk about them for a few minutes. As a young boy, I grew up in Long Island, and I think my family got into harness racing probably in the early 60s. We spent time going to Roosevelt Raceway, going to training centers on Long Island, and the original Lindy Farms was 7 people. There was the Lamangino brothers and the 2 Antonaccis, who you guys know as Crown Stable, Frank and Tom. And there was, from the Lamangino side, there was Frankie, Joey, Freddie, and Leo. 7 larger-than-life guys, including my dad. And we'd go to weekends in Liberty Bell, we go to Brandywine, we go to all those places. We had a great time. And harness racing taught me, and these men taught me about life, about gambling, about putting a team together, about all the important things that really made me the person I was and made me the businessman I was. I might have been a risk-averse person early in my career, but through the racing business, it taught me how to take risk and calculated risk. So I think harness racing is a big part of our family's success in business, and I thank harness racing for that. In the early days, we had some claimers, and then we were lucky enough to get a horse called Oh So Slow, I believe, in Tarport Lib in the early 60s. You know, at that time we met Phil Tully, who was instrumental in my career. I ended up working for him in Woodstock Stud. We also met the Kimmelmans, and I'd like to thank the Kimmelman family because along the way they were instrumental in our development also. And we started to meet many trainers and people along the way. And you know, I did actually, during my college years, I did a little stint in Italy, and I was welcomed in Italy because of the popularity our family had because of harness racing in America. You know, we then got Lindy's Pride, and everybody knew Lindy's Pride. Everybody knew the family had an interest in Speedy Crown. So at that particular time, when I went to Italy, it was like, wow. I was with kings, queens, and as I used to say, how could a garbage man's kid whose grandfather was an Iceman get here? At that time, you know, we had trainers like Howard Beisinger, we had Del Miller. I went to school with Peter Houghton, I was close friends with him. And all these people taught me about life and taught me about developing different skills. You know, after Lindy's Pride, my dad decided, hey, listen, we could do this. Any of you guys knew Sonny, which a lot of you guys knew that he was a pretty volatile guy, and he had to do things his own way. And you know, we moved to Connecticut, and he said, listen, I think we should open up a private stable. You know, so, and at that particular time, like I said, we had some trainers. We had Soren Nordin, we had Jimmy Takta, we had fellow honoree Per Erickson, we had Per Henriksen, we had horses all over the place. But the Swedes were starting to come to America, and we recognized that the Swedes had a little different way of doing things, and that the only thing they lacked was maybe knowing America. And if we thought that if we could put the American way of training and the Swedish way of training together, we could really develop a winning team. I think we did that. You know, my dad, we woke up one morning, we hired Oswaldo Vermeer because we thought that he worked for Bissinger for a while and he would do the American side. And we hired a Norwegian kid. His name was Jordan Quickstead, very talented young man. We got to Florida, we built a straight track, and we were off to the races. The next couple of years we had Harmonious, we had Probe, and probably a lot of you don't know that Probe wore the first flip-flop in America. We went to a store, a machine shop I believe it was. We got some rubber belting and we did that, you know, and we made the flip-flop for Probe. You know, we had a lot of success those years. Mind you guys, we fired Jimmy Takta, we fired all those Hall of Fame guys because we wanted to do that. I think at this particular point, I'd like to talk about Jimmy a few times because, as Ericsson knows, I made Per Ericsson steal Sartoris from Jimmy Takta's barn one night because we fired and hired Jimmy at least 4 or 5 times. To go on from that, you know, all these people throughout the way have been very instrumental in my learning about life and about learning about horses. You know, again, we had a horse called Mr. Novak who came right before Sartoris with Takter, and you know, we'd be walking around the backside at the Red Mile. At that particular time, there'd be Germans, there'd be Italians, there'd be French, there'd be Finnish gypsies, there'd be all these kind of different people buying horses, and we would just unbelievable time selling horses to these guys. So it was a magical time for all of us. And I thank Takter again for teaching me how to sell horses at that particular time, and he's still teaching me. And I'd like to thank him again for the mentoring that he's giving Philip at this particular time. I think I also would like to thank my partners in the trash business because they also have been very supportive in the horse business. The Lalliers, Billy and Russ, and the Lombardos, Pete, and the deceased Bob Lombardo. This whole development was really development, and I think I should talk about the Moneymaker years a little bit because it was really another part that was great for us. You know, in I don't know, really remember what it was, the year, I think I don't know, you know, my dad sent me to the Seattle, and there was a 2-year-old filly there, and her name was Nursery Rhyme. She was a Speedy Crown filly from Nan's Catch. My dad really wanted her. I believe he was there, okay, and all the Brain Trust was there, Pat Waldo was there, I was there, and of course I was the head of the Brain Trust. And we really wanted to buy her, but I thought she was too big and clumsy and towed out a little bit, so we didn't buy her. You know, she sold for $70,000 or something like that, and really, everybody knows the Moneymaker story, but nobody knows that, or some of you guys do know, that we started to develop a relationship with my good friend David Reed and our deceased good friend Jeff Stein, who have become unbelievable friends and partners in our life. The Moneymaker story, we got to go, you know, she made $5.5 million. She raced in 7 or 9 countries. My kids had a whirlwind tour all over France, all over Germany, Sweden, Norway, my wife, everybody who could. We even had friends of ours come, and it was a great magical mystery tour. We had a lot of fun, and you know, I thank harness racing for that. I'd also like to talk about the Red Mile a little bit. You know, Bill Peretti was the guy who brought the deal, and you know, guys loved, hated Bill, whatever. You know, Bill was actually very instrumental in my life because if Bill did something, he tried to do it the right way. And that's what we try to do at Lindy and at USA. Bill was a great visionary, but he couldn't get along with people, so the Red Mile ended up being owned by 5 different people. Now, the Negitos, who are also our longtime partners, and Bill, and now there's only 3 different, there's our Antonacci family partnership, there's George Siegel and Joe Thompson. And I'd like to really thank them because without their help, without their understanding of the racing and their love of racing, the Red Mile wouldn't be here today. But I'd also like to thank Joe Costa for his vision, because without his vision, the Red Mile would not be here today. And Kentucky, the state of Kentucky, the horsemen in Kentucky should really owe Joe Costa some gratitude, because without his vision, there would be no racing in Kentucky. I'd also like to say something about my partners in the Sail Company, Lexington Selected. You know, we had a shotgun marriage about 15 years ago with two companies, and at the end of the day, we are very different people. We are a very different partnership, but we try to put all our differences aside and do the best for harness racing. So I'd like to thank those guys there at Kentuckiana also. I'd like to thank the folks at the farm, starting from John Belsky, who's been with us, I don't know, many, many years, 30 years, 25 years, I don't know, a long time, for his loyalty and hard work. Sue Gates, who's been the farm veterinarian here for kind of ever. Rex King, who's now retired. Our current trainer, Dominic Chechere, and his great team. I thank you all. Yeah, I also would be remiss if I didn't talk about some of my true friends and trainers who really also helped me through this journey. Tom Cunningham, who I spent many hotel rooms together early on when it was kind of more economical to split a room and save a few bucks. You know, Tom's a special friend, and I really consider him a meaningful part of my life. Also like to talk about Ronnie Gerfine, who also, as you know, Ronnie was a difficult guy, and he was another guy we fired 3 or 4 times. But Ronnie, you know, he was definitely a trainer of a different color, and to know Ronnie was to love him. I'm not sure I mentioned my fellow inductee, Per Erickson, and of course, the one guy we can't forget is Ray Schnitka, who, again, you guys know, is a very gifted, talented horseman and has really mentored my boys along the way and is a true friend. I'd like to thank all these people for helping me through this journey of harness racing, and I thank you for allowing me to be your friends. In closing, I would like to say that I'm very proud of my 3 sons, Philip, Frank, and Chris, because without harness racing, they are great people. They are going to be, if not already, leaders in their fields. And I'd like to thank harness racing, because without the development of these boys through being around the barn, knowing that from the entry-level person, meaning the grooms, to the highest paid individual there, to the owners who might be billionaires and millionaires, they have an understanding that everybody has the same wants and needs. I want to thank you again, and in closing, God bless.